Pierre Charles Albert Marie Langlais was a French military officer who fought in World War II and Indochina. He is best known as the de facto commander of the French garrison during the Battle of Dien. Biography. Early life. Langlais was born at Pontivy, in Morbihan, Brittany. He attended St. Cyr Military Academy and graduated in 1930. He chose to serve in the Compagnies Méharis in North Africa patrolling the Sahara. World War II. Langlais stayed in North Africa after the fall of France in 1940. Following the defeat of the Vichy French forces in Operation Torch, he joined the French Expeditionary Corps and saw action in Italy. He then passed into the French First Army under the command of General Jean de Latta de Tassigny, seeing action in Alsace and Germany. Indochina. Langlais arrived in Indochina as a battalion commander in the 9th Colonial Infantry Division in October 1945. His battalion participated in the early battles of the First Indochina War, including the Battle of Hanoi in December 1946. Langlais returned to Indochina for a second two-year tour of duty in 1949. Assigned to the Chinese border area, he watched the defeat of the last remaining units of the Kuomintang armies on the mainland. Returning to France in October 1951, Langlais was given command of the 1st Colonial Para-Commando Demi-Brigade, training replacements for Indochina. The unit was previously commanded by Jean Giles. In order to take this assignment, Langlais trained as a paratrooper. Returning to Indochina in June 1953 for his third tour, Lt. Colonel Langlais was given command of Groupement Aéroport 2, comprising 1 Bataillon étranger de parachutists, 80 Bataillon de parachutistes de choc, 5 Bataillon de parachutistes vietnamiens. Dien Bien Phu. On the 21st of November 1953, Langlais and Gap 2 took part in Operation Castor, the seizing of the Dien Bien Phu Valley. Langlais jumped with the men of the 1 BEP, but badly injured his ankle on landing and had to be evacuated to Hanoi the following day. Langlais returned to Dien Bien Phu with his foot in plaster on the 12th of December 1953 to take command of all airborne forces in the valley. He immediately joined Gap 2 in the field on an operation along the pavy track to relieve the garrison at Muang Pon. The operation was a failure. Gap 2 was repeatedly ambushed along the pavy track and it reached Muang Pon after the garrison had been overrun. The return to Dien Bien Phu was harassed by frequent Viet Minh ambushes and artillery fire. On the 21st of December, Gap 2 launched another reconnaissance raid called Operation Regate to the Laotian town of Sopenao to link up with a Laotian Moroccan French force coming from Laos. The 50-mile route was extremely difficult with mountainous terrain cut by deep ravines and numerous rivers. The link-up was achieved on the 23rd of December and Gap 2 then returned via a different route to Dien Bien Phu, arriving back in the valley on the 26th of December. Langlais' report on the operation left no doubt that long-range offensive operations from Dien Bien Phu were not feasible. Langlais' advice was ignored and offensive operations continued through January and into February 1954, although the tightening Viet Minh siege ring meant that raids were increasingly encountering Viet Minh forces within a few kilometers from the central position at Dien Bien Phu. On the 17th of February, faced with ongoing losses to the garrison, General René Cogny ordered that henceforth only light reconnaissances be conducted by limited numbers of personnel. On the 11th of March, Langlais led Gap 2 on its last large reconnaissance operation against Viet Minh trenches being dug on Hill 555 overlooking Strong Point. Beatrice, only 3.2 kilometers from the central position. The raid was a failure. At 1700 on the 13th of March 1954, Langlais was taking a shower when the Viet Minh artillery barrage that signaled the start of the battle began. Langlais ran to his command post and got in contact with his subordinate units. At 1730, a shell hit Langlais' command post, burying the occupants under sand and timber. They had just dug themselves out when a second shell scored to direct it, but fortunately it was a dud. At 1950, Colonel de Castries phoned Langlais to inform him that Lieutenant Colonel Goucher had been killed with his entire staff and that Langlais was now in command of the central sector. Post-war career. By 1966, Langlais had been promoted to brigadier general and commanded the 20th Airborne Brigade at Pau-Pyrénées Atlantiques. Death in 1986. In failing health and depressed, Langlais committed suicide by jumping from an apartment window. Works. Langlais wrote a book about his experience at Dien, Paris. Editions France Empire, 1963. 261 pp. Paris. Presses Pocket, 1969. 253 pp.